You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
Welcome. You're listening to The Vocal Technologist. Today we're sifting through some really interesting research and articles. We're looking at web development performance, the usual suspects, but also, of course, AI's growing shadow. Our plan is simple. Pull out the key stuff, the surprising bits, and hopefully make sense of it all for you pretty quickly. Let's maybe start with this tension, right, between making things complex and keeping them simple. Okay, perfect example. I saw this story about a company that got this massive performance boost. We're talking a 24% jump, and their Lighthouse score, that Google thing for checking site health, it went from 76, which is okay-ish, up to 97. Any guesses what kind of change led to that kind of improvement?
Wow, 24% and a 97 Lighthouse. That's really impressive. My first guess would be some heavy-duty optimization, maybe fiddling with the back end, or maybe they just, threw more hardware at it. But that score jump suggests something more fundamental change. Was it their actual tech stack?
You got it. Yeah, it wasn't about adding complexity. It was the opposite. They actually moved their site from Next.js, the big React framework page to Eleventy, which is like a super lightweight static site generator.
Okay. From Next.js to Eleventy, that makes sense then.
Right. And get this. The amount of JavaScript they were shipping dropped from, wait for it, 2,161 kilobytes down to just 11.3 kilobytes.
Whoa. Okay, hold on. From over 2,000 KB to 11.
11.3. And their NPM dependencies, all those packages, went from 11,115 down to 13. Just 13.
13. Honestly, that's incredible. And it highlights something important, doesn't it? That massive reduction. It's obviously great for user load times, but think about the developers. Fewer things to break, simpler debugging. It's huge for just, sanity.
Exactly. Developer sanity. That's a good way to put it.
It really drives home that, real optimization isn't always about adding the latest framework. Sometimes it's about subtraction, carefully figuring out what you actually need. Simplicity winning out.
Yeah, that simplicity angle, or maybe how we manage the lack of it, really gets interesting when we bring AI into the picture.
Yeah.
How's AI changing the day-to-day for developers? I'm thinking specifically about things like code review.
Oh, absolutely. That's a big one. AI can churn out these massive chunks of code, right? Really complex changes. And suddenly, your standard code review process just gets swamped. Humans can't keep up, or they skim.
Which could mean more bugs slipping through, ironically.
Potentially, yeah. It forces the human reviewer to operate at a higher level, almost like reviewing the output of a very productive but sometimes naive junior dev. You're not just checking syntax. You're checking logic, architecture, potential side effects generated by a machine.
So it raises the bar for the human reviewer.
In a way, yes. But there's another side to this AI coin that's, frankly, amazing. It's starting to break down language barriers.
How so?
Well, think about it. There was this example of a developer, 10 years deep in Ruby, solid Ruby dev. Now, in 2025, they're apparently jumping into C++, C, and Rust, languages that are pretty different syntactically and conceptually.
Okay, how's that even possible without years of retraining?
AI tools. Things like Cursor, Claude Code. They act as this always-on pairing partner. The AI handles the specific syntax, points out common patterns in C++ or Rust, finds potential pitfalls. It lets the developer focus purely on the problem they're trying to solve.
So the AI provides the language expertise on demand.
Exactly. It frees up the developer's mental energy from how do I write a loop in Rust again to what's the best way to structure the solution. It's democratizing access to different tech stacks.
Yeah. That's a fundamental shift. Less about memorizing syntax, more about asking the right questions and guiding the AI. Problem solving becomes the core skill.
Precisely. It changes what it means to be a senior developer, perhaps.
Okay, so from the individual developer using these new tools, let's kind of zoom out. Let's talk about the bigger picture, the whole ecosystem. There's this constant push-pull with regulation, right? Like the EU's Digital Markets Act, the DMA. It's supposed to open things up, promote competition. But then you see Apple, for example. The DMA says they have to allow other browser engines on iOS, not just their own WebKit.
Right, which sounds like a win for competition. More browser choice for users.
You'd think. But Apple's implementation seems tricky. They're apparently requiring competing browser makers, like Chrome or Firefox, to build entirely new apps just for the EU. They can't just update their existing apps to use their own engine, like Blink or Gecko. They have to start from scratch.
Wait, so if you're, say, Brave browser, you have to build a whole new Brave EU app.
Perfect.
And all your existing users in the EU.
Would have to download and switch to this new app.
Yeah.
You lose your user base, your settings, everything. It makes the investment potentially pointless from a business perspective.
Ah, okay. So the regulation exists, but the implementation creates such a high barrier that it might effectively kill the competition it was meant to foster.
Seems like it is a classic example of how policy intentions can get tangled up in market realities and, well, corporate maneuvering. The friction just stays there.
Yeah, that friction can really stifle innovation. Even when the rules seem clear on the surface, it limits real choice for you, the user.
So quite a journey today. We saw how going simpler gave a massive performance win, which is kind of counterintuitive sometimes. Then we looked at AI, how it's both complicating things like code review, but also, amazingly, breaking down language barriers for coders. And finally, this ongoing struggle in the big tech ecosystems, where even regulations don't always lead to the open competition you'd expect.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Considering all that, maybe the next big leap in, quote, optimization. Maybe it isn't just about faster code execution. What if it's more about optimizing how humans and AI collaborate? Or creating regulatory frameworks that, actually work as intended? Or maybe, just maybe, it's about finding smarter ways to embrace that simplicity we talked about at the start, even as the tech world gets more complex.
That's definitely something to chew on. A great place to leave it for today. Thanks for tuning in. Keep asking questions, keep exploring.
Spoken Tech, for your ears.